Mr. Puri, there is the counter to this argument has been that if you really look at the price back in 2014 and what is right now during this entire term, there has been a considerable increase. Second, with regards to the timing, once again the question that has been asked, which you rightly pointed out, elections are there around the corner. But the fact of the matter is that with regards to the crude prices, the reduction of it, what does that, how do you basically bring these two aspects together? Why not before, when the prices were different as far as world crude prices are concerned?
Let me first tell you that when I just became a petroleum and natural gas minister, I actually had a study done about how international prices had fared from the time that the issue really came up in popular consciousness. We did a 7-year or 8-year analysis starting from 1973. So every 7 years, how much has changed? I don't want to burden you with the entire results, but the increase during Mr. Modi's time has been the lowest compared to any 7, 8, 9-year period earlier. Let me explain why. The most tempting thing for any opposition party to do is that जब हम सत्ता में थे, तो उस समय हमने ये किया. For sake of an argument, I concede that. आप सत्ता में थे, that's a fact of life, between 2004 and 14. आपके सामने भी चुनौती आई, पर आपने क्या किया? एक बड़े पढ़े लिखे विद्वान वित्त मंत्री थे उनके, आजकल भी वो कमेंट्स देते हैं. उन्होंने क्या किया, जब उनको एक एडवर्स एक्सटर्नल एनवायरनमेंट का सामना करना पड़ा, he decided to raise float oil bonds. Or oil bonds that were floated were, if I remember correctly, 1,41,000 crores. My dear friend, we are having to pay back 3,50,000 crores as a result of that completely irresponsible decision. Today, when the Honorable Prime Minister brings the price of a cylinder down by 200 per cylinder, okay, from 1100 to 900, the one who's a beneficiary under the EWS or BPL, उनके लिए 200 रुपए तो वैसे मिल रही थी उनको डायरेक्ट ट्रांसफर में, उनके लिए ये 700 पे दाम पहुंच गया. Oil companies did take a beating. They incurred a loss of 28,000 crores, but the government compensated them by 21,000 crores. So the idea is not to provide you and him or her a cheap cylinder. The idea is also to make sure that the economics work. So 3-4 things are happening. The consumer is benefited. The oil companies take a bit of a haircut, but they're compensated. The government reduced its own excise duty. And the irresponsibility quotient of this will be understood when you realize on November 21, 2021 and May 2022, central government reduced its excise on petrol and diesel by 13 rupees and 16 rupees. The BJP ruled states reduced their VAT, but the non-BJP ruled state did not reduce their VAT. So today you have an interesting situation. High decibel level state is West Bengal, all right? There, petrol and diesel is 10 rupees more expensive than, let's say, even a non-BJP state which is aligned to us. Now, if you've got a 10 rupees difference, that is per litre, my friend. So if you're driving a car with 50-litre capacity, you see what difference it makes. Equally, when we come to cylinders, people should realize that there are people who use not one cylinder, they're using 4 cylinders. So it's an 800 rupee saving, and that's an average. Some people are using 6 cylinders. Okay, the average comes to 3.7 because the consumption has gone up from 3 to 3.7. So I find the articulations of my distinguished colleagues and collaborators in the opposition entirely without merit.
Would you also
entirely without merit.
Would you also say that what we are not taking into account is certain other factors, global factors, which actually determine the price of crude oil?
That's my starting point.
Yeah. So let me just take one quick question before I move to the other aspect I really want to discuss. That's the G20. Minister Puri, with regards to other criticism that your government faces at this point in time is the revdi politics that the Prime Minister has spoken about. Mallikarjun Kharge says that we did this in Karnataka, hence the government is doing it. But we've seen the Karnataka model. We've seen the kind of responses that have come in, and perhaps it's not feasible as far as the public exchequer is concerned. Do you believe that this burden that the government is going to perhaps bear, will that have an impact over a long run, or what's the rationale behind it?
First of all, I think you've raised three issues. One is a realistic check on what's happening in the global marketplace. Will that impact us? Obviously, if you're importing 80% of your crude for processing, it will impact you. Therefore, we are doing it sensibly. How do we do that? We look for discounted sales, etc. And that's a success story in itself, number one. Number two, reverie politics per se. Look, this is not reverie politics. When you reduce the price of a cylinder, you're only reducing the price of a cylinder by 200 rupees. Okay? Reverie politics would happen if you say,
give it for free.
When I was waiting, I just hesitated seeing what you would say. Go to Punjab from here. I have a feeling, I mean, I don't have a means of verifying it. Nobody pays an electricity bill there. Nobody. Because apne so many units, it's free.
Yeah.
So if you've got slightly more than that, you get two connections. That is a perfect recipe for bankruptcy of the state. And I think the Punjab model, if I may be allowed to, it's dignifying the model, but many other states have that. Large debt. 3,81,000 crore tha at the time of the election. God knows where it has gone up. But it's the irresponsible attitude after that. हाँ हम तो बांटेंगे रेवड़ी और हमें कमी पड़ेगी तो हम सेंटर पे आ आएंगे. But that's not the kind of politics we are doing.
Right.
We are saying become responsible for your action. And the central government is not only responsible for its action, the central government is ensuring high rates of economic growth. The central government and the Prime Minister has ensured you move from the 10th position to the 5th largest and you go into the 3rd largest economy in the world. We are probably the only large economy which is growing like this. In many of the countries which are regarded as a bright spot, they're barely hovering above the point where it becomes quarter on quarter negative. That's a recession. I don't want to take names. There's a large economy in the world, $16 trillion, second largest economy in the world. See what's happening there. Don't say what I'm happening, because I'm not saying I'm saying it. Open the Financial Times of London or anybody else. What the worry there is. So here, I mean, I can see nothing but absolute buoyancy. People are deciding where to go for their next holiday. If you go by our aeroplanes, they're chock-a-block full. Our hotels are doing very well. India is celebrating to welcome the G20 at summit level. Which part of the story do you want to pick up?